Greetings fellow Whovians and welcome to Timey Wimey Review. May 20th, 2021 marks the 25th anniversary of the death of actor Jon Pertwee. So in fitting tribute, I've decided to review the third Doctor story, The Green Death, originally broadcast in May 1973 on BBC One and served as the season finale of season 10 of Doctor Who. Just in case you don't know the plot, the third Doctor, Jo and Unit travel to South Wales to investigate the mysterious death of local miners that are being linked to the nearby factory Global Chemicals. Director Stevens, who is in charge of this facility, is promising wealth and cheap fuel. However, the pollution and waste that is coming from the factory is producing giant maggots, which in turn is causing death and catastrophe. This six-part adventure had everything that pretty much summed up the third Doctor's era. We've got action, gadgets, explosions, invasions, megalomaniac computers, and even a quick trip to another planet. Jon Pertwee is the man of the hour in this story, and you forget how much Jon Pertwee brought into the role as the third Doctor, especially in his early seasons when there were more earthbound adventures. It really couldn't have worked, but I think with Jon Pertwee, he just gave that extra oomph to the show, especially with his gadgets and different vehicles and all the stunts that some he did, some he didn't. And yeah, he was so good. And the Venusian karate, as I mentioned earlier, I really loved in this story his confrontation with the computer, the boss. That was some really good scenes there, and with John Darth's really rich voice as the computer, the two just blends together so well. When I rewatched all the classic Doctor Who adventures a few years ago, I was really sad to see the departure of Jon Pertwee and his third Doctor era. You forget again how much he brought to the table and just how much he looked after that character, even from the end of his tenure as the Doctor to even when he does return in subsequent adventures and the radio plays, and even just turning up on like Noel's house party, he was still the Doctor, and through conventions as well. Again, it's just such an amazing actor, and obviously he went on to do other things like Wurzel Gummidge. He was really good character actor, and he's just still sorely missed to this day. Back to the Green Death, and performance-wise, I thought there was not a bad performance in this story. I loved all the characters in this story as well. So we've got Unit back. I like the comedic moment with the Brigadier and Mike Yates when the Doctor was trying to break Yates's hypnosis with the crystal. Obviously, we've got Sergeant Benton in here, Jo. I also liked the sub characters. So we got Director Stevens. He was a bit of a standout for me. This menacing yet charming front of house for Global Chemicals. I also liked that there was a hierarchy of hypnotized sort of do-gooders and sort of henchmen as well. So obviously we've got Stevens, who was hypnotized or being hypnotized pretty much by the boss with these amazing headphones. I would definitely wear them every day with the lights as well. They need to go back on the market. So yeah, I digress. So they were all hypnotized by the boss. So you got Stevens, who was this charming front of house director, and then there was, I can't remember the character's name, but he was kind of more in like episodes 2 and 3, who was just, the I must get on with my work, I'm busy, and it just made me laugh that you had this charming Stevens hypnosis, and then you sort of like just get this really subpar hypnosis. You would think that the boss would just have everyone sort of acting as human as possible, but no, this poor guy just must get on with my work. Excuse me, I've got a headache. I loved all that. I thought it was brilliant. It was also nice to see some legends from Doctor Who making a cameo in The Green Death, most notably John Scott Martin and Roy Skelton. I really enjoyed the story to The Green Death. I liked the subtle social and political aspects that was brought to the story in terms of pollution and waste against people's jobs, especially with the miners' strike that kind of happened towards the late 70s as well. It was all become really relevant, and I think still relevant now to this day. And you can see the inspirations from other Doctor Who writers, especially for modern Doctor Who, in terms of their messages about pollution and waste and looking after the planet. The story does veer off from that political, social debate of pollution and waste, which is fine because you can have that debates should you choose to. This more the Green Death kind of more concentrates on more the action adventure side to the story, which again is absolutely fine. The subplot to the Green Death though is the departure of Jo Grant, and this was beautifully handled from part 1 all the way to part 6. The fledgling flies the coop. It starts off with Jo wanting to go to South Wales instead of travelling with the Doctor to Metebelis 3, and then it just built on this parting of the ways. I really liked Jo introducing herself to Professor Jones. It just bordered similarities to when Jo introduced herself as the new assistant to the Third Doctor in Terror of the Autons, and this caring relationship that Jo and Clifford Jones had throughout the Green Death adventure, and obviously with Professor Jones falling ill, and yeah, a little bit quick in terms of the romance, but you kind of get swept away with it. And yeah, I was happy with that there was Professor Jones and Jo was going to get married, and then you just had this utter heartache for both characters, really, for both Jo and the Doctor. This is one of the top departures in the history of Doctor Who for companions. You can see that the Doctor is genuinely sad that Jo is leaving him. And again, and heartbreaking scenes when the Doctor just sneaks away after the happy couple they're celebrating in the nut hutch, and the Doctor just drives away. Very much reminiscent to, or what they repeat in the Sherlock Holmes with Benedict Cumberbatch, when Watson gets married and Sherlock walks away. I'm glad that they kind of added that as a touching tribute to Jo Grant's departure in the Green Death. I'm going to give The Green Death a TARDIS rating of 8 out of 10. It's a fun 6-part adventure. It does have some of its pacing issues for this story. I think it would have been better as a 5-part story rather than a 6-part story. And the effects, it has its moments, shall we say. The maggots look great. I thought them effects are brilliant, and especially with them opening the mouths with the fangs. Yeah, terrifying stuff. And I really like the fluorescent green when on like people's face and hands. That effect works really well. The CSO, the color separation overlay, does look quite dated. It adds to the charm, but does look dated. And again, in some very random areas, like they did it when they're outside, even though a few shots earlier they were genuinely outside. So it's probably probably done that for reshooting reasons, but yeah, just kind of let it down a little bit. And the big poisonous dragonfly with the maggot that's transformed. Again, it has a certain charm to it. I think it got away with it, really, to be fair. Especially when it was chasing the Doctor and Sergeant Benton and Bessie. I like that kind of stop motion, sort of looked like a bit of stop motion animation there. Reminded me of King Kong from the 1930s. In all, it's a thought-provoking adventure story with memorable characters, great performances, with a tear-jerking, heartstring-pulling ending. I highly recommend The Green Death, which you can watch now on DVD or even on streaming service BritBox. Let me know in the comments below your thoughts on The Green Death, and what was your favourite performance or moment or even story from the Third Doctor era. Let's celebrate Jon Pertwee as the fine actor that he was. Next time on Timey Wimey Review, to celebrate its 25th anniversary, I will be reviewing Doctor Who the Movie, starring Paul McGann as the 8th Doctor. Until then, thank you very much for watching. Please like the video, share the video, and subscribe to the channel. And as a good doctor once said, I'm quite spry for my age, actually.